All right, we're going to move on now because, like we said, we're in the lull period. So, good time to get into some NBA talk, right? We really are neglecting the NBA this year, but the NFL has just been so much better. It's been
look at the last 2 weeks of
football. Yeah. It's, well, why are we talking about the NBA? But here's for all your NBA fiends. Here's some NBA for you. So we've taken a look at the Vegas win projection totals at the beginning of the season, and we've identified some teams who are going to blow out their win projection totals, the biggest winners, we'll call them. And then we have some teams who are projected right now to fall in very under that win projection. We're calling those the biggest losers. So we'll start on the winner side. And a team that we've talked about before, we'll highlight them again. The Cleveland Cavaliers right now sitting at 31-20. Their over and under was 26.5 wins. They've already beaten the over under, which is great, right? So they're on pace for 50 wins. That's a differential of plus 23.5 wins. So the Cavs blowing out projections. And I mean, They have, I think, a great young core. People are talking about Darius Garland should be have all-star considerations. I wouldn't hate it, to be honest. I wouldn't hate it, to be honest. I love his progression and how he's doing. They're the only team who has hit their win total or lost too many games to be able to do so in this season. The only team that's qualified to do that so far. Which is impressive for the Cavs, man. For a team that was supposed and a team that has no Colin Sexton right now. It's operating without their quote-unquote best young player.
Not even that far over 50% of the season down to already knock that one out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Vegas was wrong in projecting them there, but it speaks to how well the Cavs have played. Because we talked about them, 2 months ago now? And this was a team we thought were going to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
We made that breakaway video about Evan Mobley, Rookie of the Year. Well, yeah, Kate Cunningham's back there, and he's hooping. Scotty Barnes at the time was still hooping in Toronto. And we were like, Mobley could win it. Well, now he's minus 250 to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I mean, doing this past Colin Sexton injury, Sexton only played 11 games. Didn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was supposed to be a 1-2 backcourt. It's really now just a 1 backcourt, but
Rubio
is so good.
Yeah, but it's opened up the floor for Darius Garland.
Yeah. That's
I'm saying Rubio.
Oh, yeah, been hurt. Yeah. Got hurt.
But just the way they've done it, I think the two bigs work. I think you go Mobley, Jarrett Allen. Not a lot of teams do that. That works.
Mm-hmm.
A young team, especially having athletic guys. I mean, Jarrett Allen somehow fell through the cracks. I know he probably had to get moved from the Nets to make that team happen. But people forget how dominant he was at shot blocking and being an athletic big. And now you get a guy in Mobley to go beside him who can also play the wing, who's a great passer for his size, very underrated, can shoot the mid-range very well, working on the 3-ball, but he's hitting them. I mean, it's crazy that they're 11 games over 500, 51 games in the season.
Lead the East in point difference.
But they earned it.
11-4 in the last 15, keeping alive in a very gritty Eastern Conference. And they beat the Bucks on their home floor not too long ago, a couple of nights ago. And Giannis came to the postgame and was like, yo, this is a good team. This is not the Cavs that people are thinking of, the down-and-out Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a good basketball team. People, they need their respect. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's time to start realizing that the Cavs are not a fluke this year.
You know who also needs their respect? Kevin Love.
I was about to say
that. Yeah, K Love's still hooping on. Go ahead, on.
The first 16 games of the season are averaging 10 points per game and 4 rebounds. And then you realize the Cavs were good and started to try.
Yeah. And he didn't even want to be there.
And since then, he's averaging 16 points, 7 rebounds off the bench, and he's shooting 42% from 3. He's been a great bench weapon for them when they have to take either Mobley or Allen out of the game.
It's almost right. That's when you talk about finding added value in the middle of the season. We won't bring up another team that is suffering through that right now. Having a guy like Kevin Love who, in the locker room can be a leader. He's a guy who's seen and done it all, going to championship teams. And then on top of that, just as a fit as a basketball player, he is the perfect piece. The perfect piece coming in off the bench for what they're looking for, what they're looking to replace when they take Mobley and Allen off the floor. Maybe less so Allen, but definitely Mobley. And hats off to him. I think he is the favorite right now to win the Rookie of the Year, right? Minus 250.
Mobley, oh yeah.
I actually kind of would bet. I might bet on Cade right now. But I do think at the end of the day, that's just based on value. At the end of the day, I think Mobley has been the best one.
Yeah, it's been great for him.
Great season for them so far. Hopefully they can make a run.
Great. Another team having a great season. The Phoenix Suns. I mean, it's crazy to go to the finals next year and then you're already smashing your win projection total this year. But best start in franchise history off to 41-9 start. Their over and under was 51.5, so they're on pace for 67. That's a plus 15.5 win differential. I mean, the Valley Boys are doing it, man. It's the 5th highest in the league, and they're the 2nd best team against their win total. Very impressive. They're doing it as the other top teams in the Western Conference are starting to take a little bit of a dive. See the Warriors having a tough stretch. The Jazz have taken a nosedive. The Suns not only have stayed the course, but they've gotten better. It's man impressive to see.
Yeah, and Chris Paul's gotten better at this age. Is insane. Is he leading the league in assists? If not,
leading the league in assists, and he's like second or third in steals.
Yeah, it's nuts. And the first thing that you said, how their win total going into the season was 5th highest, and they're smashing it. Like the Cavs, yes, are great, but think about the Cavs win total versus the Suns. For the Suns to get an advantage on their total, they have to win like 2 games for every 1 game the Cavs wins. Right. So it's ridiculous at that level. We know Chris Paul's been great, which I know you might talk about more. That's awesome. I mean, Devin Booker's been about what you expect. It's been the other guys. Now, I think you go to the finals, you get that experience. It's done wonders for this team. Mikhail Bridges, we knew was supposed to be like, maybe Ayton's supposed to be the 3, but Mikhail Bridges is supposed to be a great starter for them, a great fill play, more than a 3-and-D guy, maybe not too much more, but if he's a 3-and-D guy, should be the best 3-and-D guy in the league. Mm-hmm. And he has stepped up in my eyes. Last year, I put a lot of stock in him. It didn't work out. It worked out in a sense, but not where I thought he was. Now he's reaching the peak where I thought he was. Ayton's not making as many dumb plays anymore. And when you have Chris Paul and Devin Booker, you can get away with a couple of dumb plays. And if you're stepping up with them, then you're going to be 41-9. It's crazy.
To me, this is a big intangibles win. I think they're roughly the same team as last year, almost identical.
Yeah.
And Chris Paul was up 2-0 in the finals, and they lost it. And basically the narrative was, they missed their shot. Mm-hmm. The league was injured around them. The Lakers will be back next year, and we'll go to the Lakers. And the Nets will be back. And Chris Paul said, I got a taste, and I got close, and
we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
And I just think that leadership and Devin Booker playing so great in the finals and just coming up through, that just drive to like, this anger that they didn't get it is just driving them to keep winning and winning and winning. And it just embodies a championship team.
Yeah. I think it's no coincidence that Devin Booker, like as they're playing this great stretch, Devin Booker has bounced back from that beginning of the season woes, that weird kind of start to the season he was having. I don't think he was right after that finals loss. He has that finals loss, and he goes, I know he wins a gold medal. He goes to Japan, has to fly on the plane with 2 guys that he just lost to in the finals, has a sluggish start to the beginning of the season, but has been great ever since. And in these past 5 games has been even better. 33.6 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal a game. Like he's been great, and the Suns are, on an 11-game win streak, 14 of the last 15.
And this is what, you guys mentioned Ayton, but he's been out for time to time with little small.
Out right now, out right now.
Nothing too major, but Devin Booker, I believe we could see him take a step that Joel Embiid took last year, is taking this year. In every single night, I'm going to come out and I'm a threat for a 30-piece every night, not just the nights I get up, and not just the nights where it's like, sometimes it's CP's night, sometimes it's Mikhail's night, and there will be nights where that is the case. But going into a playoff series, I think we're starting to see Devin Booker, and it's obviously a small sample size, but 33.6 points, 6.4 rebounds, 3.8 assists over his last 5 games. Those are MVP numbers.
Yeah, for real. Another team that's doing really well. Their last game wasn't a representation of it. It was still a great game, actually, against the Sixers in overtime. They lost. But the Memphis Grizzlies, 35-18 right now. Their over-under was 41.5. So they're on pace for 54 wins. It's a plus 12.5 point win differential. We could encompass this in this right now, John Moran and Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane, yeah.
But John Moran. And their last game was just a microcosm of their entire team, where John Moran is going to have the most just calmest but most electrifying 37. Desmond Bane sprinkles in his 30, 5 threes. But I think when this team wins is when Jaren Jackson is giving them that extra push on offense. He didn't give it to them against Philly, and they lost the game. They were really carried by him, but that's kind of the microcosm of their whole season. But they've been great nonetheless.
They remind me a lot of like almost what we expected the Dallas Mavericks to become over time, with Luka Doncic as the guy. Then you also have Kristaps Porzingis, but the main difference is you're getting contributions like Desmond Bane out of nowhere. This guy on any given night give you 25. He gave the Sixers 34, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Career high. And
it's a great game, man.
And I just think that overall we're seeing John Morant become, just like we mentioned with Devin Booker, this team's going to go as far as Ja takes him, and I think that he can be a very real candidate for MVP this year. Fifth leading, like in terms of the odds, he's the fifth likeliest to win the award.
Yeah.
So that's saying something.
You know what team this Grizzlies reminds me of? And I promise this is a compliment. It's the Lowry DeRozan Raptors, where they're just.
I wouldn't think of that as an insult.
People, they get a bad rap because they got LeBron.
Yeah, right, because they got LeBron.
But they're just this amalgamation of just like a bunch of really good players that play great together in a smaller market that just loves the team.
Yeah.
And they're just the perfect culture, and Morant fits that energy for the city perfectly. And Morant is going to be really fun to watch in postseason series as a favorite, just to see where that comes down for him.
And I think that's a great point, because what I'm so impressed with John Moran is he's showing me that he can do this consistently, like through the season, this young of an age. I mean, it's, second, third year in the league. Like he's showing me that he can do this for a complete series. Even guys like Devin Booker, this young Devin Booker wasn't consistent. He'd give you 70 one night, and then he'd shoot 25% from the field the next night. You're like, okay, he can't do this for a series yet. Ja could do this for a series. Yeah. And I didn't think he'd be at this level this quickly. And then if you look, and I kind of hate to do this, bring one brother down to bring one up. But if you look at the number one overall pick in that draft, and, people are kind of putting them, head to head a lot, you got to be, if you're the Pelicans, looking at like, it was clear it was these guys, one or two, and I chose Zion. Like,
you were never not choosing Zion, though.
Really?
You're never getting away from Zion.
Yeah, you were taking
Zion. It's just really just retroactive.
Zion was locked at number one like 2 months.
If you told me Zion was going to play about one season in his entire 4-year contract for me, I maybe would have picked
Ja.
I
maybe would have picked Ja. Right. I guess
that's
a very hindsight look at things, but I mean, you just got to be kicking yourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's difficult.
I mean, you also had an all-star like Drew Holiday too at the time. Like I'm not looking at.
They're going to have probably
Moran, right?
one last chance, I think. He may just be gone. We don't have to go down the Zion. That could be for a
Let's
different episode. But
one
thing I will bring up before we move on from the Grizzlies, I don't know if you guys have anything to say on it, but 40% of their losses, 40% of their losses are by over 20 points. That's like we let go, and not our night.
Oh yeah,
that worries me big time about going. You're in the playoffs. You're having to battle. Things aren't going your way. You can't be dropping the rope.
You can't fold. Yeah. You can't fold like that.
So that's just a scary piece for me.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Ja. I mean, it's hard not to be. What I will say as a team as a whole, though, not saying we know what Ja is, but at this point, he's not going to be the one to make the deep playoff run. It's going to be the whole team together.
Yeah,
because this is a very deep team. To Matt's point about very good players, they're 9 deep, and 9 deep of players you want. I'm talking the starting 5. DeAnthony Melton, Tyus Jones, Kyle Anderson, Brandon Clark.
Yeah, Brandon Clark gives him such.
I mean, 9 guys who have now played with each other. All of them, I believe, besides Steven Adams, who's new this year, have all played each other for over a year now. Dylan Brooks still has only played about 20 of their 50-something games. I mean, he's arguably the second best player on the team. I think Jaren's back up to that point. But they're all very good. If Bane can keep shooting like this, if Ja keeps scoring like this, and you get a good night from Dylan Brooks or a good night from Jaren Jackson, right? Steven Adams is consistent in the paint. That's how this team will make a playoff run. Because they're a very good team. But to Jake's point, that does worry me a lot. Yeah. And I also don't think Ja can lead you through a playoff run. Right. I think he can lead you through a playoff series like we talked about, not a run. But he can't do it on a run.
But this is about overperforming expectations.
Right, and then they're doing that. But I think it's fair. I think we're doing the Grizzlies justice by putting them in playoff talks. Because I'm not talking – the Cavs? Yeah, the Cavs are talking about, hey, whatever you do in the regular season
is found money.
Hey, for the Grizzlies, just doing it in the regular season is not good enough for this team. You are playoff caliber, so we're going to judge you to that bar, and I think we're doing them justice and giving them respect.
And they're still very capable of doing it.
And to the losing by, the double digits getting blown out point, and of the Ja not leading them, they're doing this without Dylan Brooks. A high energy guy, a gritty guy like Dylan Brooks doesn't let you drop the rope. And I don't care how much we're getting beat by, we're going to compete while we're on this floor. Yeah. And that helps you because Dylan Brooks fills in a lot of those holes that help you in the playoffs. Yeah. Those getting on the floor plays, those doing the extra things like Dylan Brooks will do that. Plus, will anchor up on the defensive end.
And that's
weirdly like this is the guy that you really don't need, really don't realize how necessary he is till you lose him. Yeah. The Danny Green, the Dario Saric is like the guys who you lose.
Marcus Smart, that too. He's like an energy.
He's like Marcus Smart. Like what's the best part of Dillon Brooks' game? It's his defense, especially on this team, and that's why they can make a run.
Yeah,
we're gonna move to the teams who we thought were gonna make runs. And it's getting shaky, baby. And that's the biggest losers, the guys who are underperforming their win projections. Why not talk about them again? Why not talk about them again?
Man.
The Los Angeles Lakers. Why not? 24-27, they're over and under. Was 52.5. So they're on pace for 39 wins right now. That's a minus 12.5. Under your win projection.
Vegas is making a lot of money on this one.
It is probably amplified because they're LA, but like just really any like highly billed, superstar led sports team, there you get so crushed by the media and fans when you underperform and you have these three guys and you said you guys are the stupid ones, we're the smart ones, we put this team together and it's gonna work, and it doesn't work at all.
Especially when you try to shoot down the age thing, and I guess everyone except Russ has gotten hurt. It's like, okay, well, yeah, we say y'all are old, but for reference for this whole thing, the Lakers and the Knicks right now have the same record at this point in the NBA season, and that should make every Lakers fan tremble right now.
Yeah, they have way less payroll, way less Hall of Famers on that squad.
Yeah, way less good things going on.
Way less young talent to build around because it's not your year.
Yeah.
The Lakers' number one problem, and he's having an okay season, that being AD, but Anthony Davis cannot be the best Anthony Davis with Russell Westbrook. And then beyond that, both of them individually are not having good years for what they are. So when you look at Russell Westbrook, he's kind of been billed, Mr. Triple-Double. He's a guy who racks up assists, but we've always said he's a guy who chases assists and isn't necessarily the most conducive to team basketball. That's proven this year. They have 8% less assists when Russell Westbrook is on the court compared to when he is off of it.
AKA the ball moves more.
Exactly. The ball keeps moving and finds open hands compared to Russ iso ball. And they're two points worse in offensive rating with him on the court. Translate to Anthony Davis as well. They are 5.7 points better with AD off the court this year compared to when he's on it. In offensive rating, that can be a skewed stat. I don't want to put everything into those stats and say these guys aren't good. But
the eye test kind of like aids these stats.
The flag pops up.
Yeah. Everyone talks about how their offense doesn't make sense, and they're right because it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But what also happens when you get a bunch of old vets together to be friends is none of them want to play defense. And they're 27th in the NBA in points allowed per game. Like, they're just like, someone else pick them up. And we know what LeBron does in the regular season on defense because he saves himself for the playoffs. But AD, ever since they won the chip, has just kind of been coasting on defense. He was a defensive player of the year. He was so good defensively in New Orleans, and now it's just kind of like,
And I don't think it was a coincidence that when he got to Lakers, LeBron was captaining him to be Defensive Player of the Year because he's like, hey, you going to have to do it on defense, big man. Like, I'm not going to do it. Like, you have to do it on defense.
And you can tell that it's a little bit of lacking because in the big matchups, I watched the game against Philly, against Embiid. He had a really good – it was like the stretch.
He knew it was national TV.
Yeah, exactly. A national TV against one of the best players at a similar position. People say he's not a center, but it is an effort thing for a lot of the guys on that team, and it's not just AD and Russ. You go down, Avery Bradley has not been good when he's been put out there. A lot of Carmelo Anthony has not been great when he's been put out there. It could really come off. The wheels are
we
loose.
don't have to spend too much time braiding Lakers one because I'm pretty sure we'll get back to it again at some point in the NBA season. But as Russ likes to say, get into the playoffs and my record is 0-0. Sure.
Yeah.
You get in as the 7th or 8th seed, you get pummeled.
You better get there.
For whatever.
Look crypto.
Yeah.
Get your team together.
We're going to move on to the Indiana Pacers because this one kind of disappoints me. I'm like, the Pacers for the past, 3, 4, 5 years have always been not the best team, but not a bad team. They've
always a playoff team.
Always a playoff team, always gritty, always fighting. They're 19-33 this year. Their over-under projection was 42.5, so they're on pace for 30 wins. That's a minus 12.5 win projection. And that's just disappointing. Fourth worst points per game allowed in the East. They've never been a crazy scoring team, but to see the Pacers pretty much not have this life. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised because a month and a half ago they're ready to blow this entire thing up, right? And I guess they still are. Trade deadline a week away, but
they're going to make a move.
They're going to make a move, right? So they're ready to. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Rick Carlisle, and it just doesn't seem like you talk about. It doesn't seem like he really cares. Like it seems like he's kind of just yeah, it is what it is. We are who we are at this point. It's just kind of disappointing to see what's going on with the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, it's weird. I always felt like this team was not deep, but always really had guys they can rely on off the bench. That's not been the case this year. I mean, you have Sabonis, Brogdon, Duarte, and Turner, and that's about your whole team. And Justin Holiday looks whatever. He's off the bench, but he's actually looks as good as he looked last year. But everyone else is really taking a step back. I like Malcolm Brogdon, but besides a stretch of games he had in December, it really hasn't been the same. Domantas Sabonis has really not been the same. And I mean, Miles Turner, you get on defense, but it's at the point where he needs to give you more on offense now.
And he's shown stretches where he's been really disgruntled with the team too. He had that little couple, 2-3 week stretch where he just wasn't playing, wasn't showing any effort out on the floor. That's not what I'm used to seeing from the Indiana Pacers.
They have been hurt.
They've been
crazy hurt.
To me, that's where it comes down to, and you can tell because on the defensive end, they've been fourth worst in the East in terms of points allowed per game. And when you don't have lineups that can gel together for one reason or another, a lot of times it's, when you read off guys who have missed over 10 games, Malcolm Brogdon's missed 24, O'Shea Brissett, who plays a good chunk of minutes for them, 12, Turner's missed 10, LeVert 15, Jeremy Lamb 15, McConnell's going to miss the whole year. So, it's just very difficult to build a base and kind of ascend when you are having guys come in and out of the lineup all the time. You don't know if you're going to be on the team in a week. I would say if they can stabilize after the trade deadline, they're a team who could sneak into the back end of the playoffs.
I can't see it this year.
They have no closer, and their point differential is not bad, but they're 2-13 in games decided by 4 points or less, which is astonishingly horrible.
Yeah,
and it's just they don't have anyone to go to because they're just a bunch of decent guys. And,
but they've always been that. But to Kyle's point, they've always found themselves in the playoffs. They never had an amazing guy. Sabonis has been their best player.
Sabonis is taking
for the past 5 years.
Back though, he is taking a legitimate step back.
Yes, he was a legitimate all-star.
I'm not going to say he
year.
was going to transcend. But the past 2 seasons he gave us compared to this season, you could just see it on the floor. He's not as good as he was.
He was a legitimate all-star last year. And of the guys we've named that missed over 10 games, Domantas Sabonis' name was not in there. So it's not injury that's been him and out of the lineup. He's been the only mainstay guy. And at the very least, if you're a good player, my team might stink, but I'm going to get these points. I'm going to get these buckets. And he's not doing that.
They're really the only team that's going to get forgot about this year.
Yeah.
You look at the playoffs, and maybe a team might miss the playoffs, but the Pacers have really gotten just forgot about.
Yeah, I got a team that you might have forgotten about coming up next because they've been really bad too.
Yeah,
and a guy who's kind of fading out has been really bad too. The Portland Trailblazers. You want to talk about what is going on? Oh no! 21-30. Their over/under projection was 44.5, so they're on pace for 34 wins right now, minus 10.5 under their win projection. I'm
going to be honest.
Kate Pasa.
I haven't watched. I don't know if I've watched more than 3 minutes of Blazers basketball.
Really? There hasn't been a reason to. Most of the time, it's just Damian Lillard give you a reason to. He's not even.
And Lillard, I think
Anthony Simons is the reason to watch him.
Yeah,
he's been good.
If you're a real deep basketball fan, Simons.
Lillard, just from looking at the stats, it just seems like he's a guy just going through the motions because his stats. Awful. 40% from the field, 32% from three. That's just a guy begging to get traded or just kind of he's kind of just bored of the situation.
Well, and you don't have to be a basketball player to understand what's going on there, right? Let's say you're good at your job and the management and the synergy of the company is off, messed up things are happening. When things start to go a little, things are tough, now that time more than ever is when you throw your hands up
there's no fight. Yeah.
You know what? It's beyond me at this point. And it is. They should blow that. They should have blown. The Damian Lillard shot, in retrospect, over Paul George may be the worst thing to ever happen to them since Greg Oden. Could easily be. Because if that doesn't go in, you get bounced from the playoffs. You can get off Dame or CJ or that build of team sooner. You get more out of Dame. And if you want to go this route, you could have went the OKC route and you would already be halfway built back by now. So, like, it's just a really tough situation.
You're saying the Damian Lillard shot started, and I like whoever put this in the script. I like this, and we're saying it out loud. It started the treadmill of mediocrity for the Blazers.
Correct, and they
who put that in? Who put it in there?
That was me.
That was you. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what this is? The
Pacers
treadmill
are kind of on it too, low key. Pacers have always been on it.
What I will say, the difference is with them and the Pacers is, I think the Pacers actually have a bad team.
Well, right, there's no star. There's no superstar. There's a superstar on Portland.
Trailblazers have their best two players either missing a lot of time or not playing well. Because I've actually
3 too. I've Nurkic past 3 years.
Yeah, Nurkic. I guess he's never been like offensive. Yeah, but you're right.
He's good.
You're right. But I mentioned Simons. I've also been really impressed with Norman Powell, who's low-key having a career year and playing very well. I mean, they have the pieces to where if Dame and CJ are playing like Dame and CJ, this team is good. Like back to the playoffs, not a playoff run or anything, but that really hasn't been them at all besides the 1 year they made it to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, Nas Little has taken a step up. I mean, like, around them has been
made the
good.
Western Conference Finals because the Rockets were playing the Warriors in the second round.
Yeah, I know that's still more proving my point that, like, they've never really made it a playoff run. Yeah. But, I don't know. The Dame's playing bad. He wants out. I think that's clear now. It's not – they're actually still only like 4.5 games back at the playoffs. I don't see them getting there.
They're in the playing game.
Yeah, I don't see them getting there. But I mean, if for some reason they have a miraculous turnaround, they're still beat to win a playoff series.
There's writing on. I mean, they're seeing the writing on the wall, and then there's literally writing on the wall. And I think Dame is legit writing on the wall himself. I am done. I want to go. It's over because he's trying to be as gangster as possible about it. Not actually say it, to the public. I'm going to stand behind my guys and stand behind my city. I'm going to go out there and play. But come on, brother. Like, if we can see it now. And it translates to even, like, on paper. Yeah. Like, we can see it.
Since the jump of the season, too. Like he got off slow. He hasn't done –
You're not saving face if you're not performing on the court as well, man.
I'm going to float this. You can tell me if I'm crazy. I am crazy. But who says no? Damian Lillard.
Here we go.
For Zion Williams. Who says no?
Kyle, who says no? Do you want to get to winners and losers? Do you want to?
Who says no?
I don't hate it. I thought he was going to say Ben Simmons.
I thought you were going to bring the Sixers into it.
No, I'm not going to.
I don't.
You don't hate it.
The Pelicans say no.
Yeah,
they can't do anything with Lillard at this point. Like, Lillard is 31. Will they be good enough in 3 years to do anything?
Okay, so ready?
Yeah, they have J-Val, they have Brandon Ingram, they have Josh Hart.
Pelicans are perennial.
Yeah, but they always have decent players and never are good.
Yeah, but I think like better than
they could have 3 All-NBA players on that team. If you bring in Dame, I mean theoretically, if you have Zion back, but Zion's not coming, like whatever. This is probably for a different episode. You're right.
You're right. I think both teams might slightly benefit, but I think Zion's price is higher. I think you can get more that fits your team better for Zion. But I also like Dame on the Pelicans. I like the thought of that.
Like Portland would do it. Portland should do it. I don't know if they would.
Oh, they would. I see.
I do like. I mean, I think Dame would benefit from playing with a really good big man, and we know JV benefits from playing with a good big man.
What's up?
You love JV. You didn't get to talk about JV getting robbed from a father.
Yeah, they robbed JV. JV should be on a run.